My name's Liv. I was 15 and pregnant. So my son's name is Sam. He's actually just turned 4. So I found out I was pregnant, I think in winter. I was in winter, so it was in, I think I found out early to mid-July, or mid-July. Yeah, so obviously the first initial reactions are like crying and shock and anger and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it took a little bit to sink in, probably took a week or so to fully like sink in. Yeah, so after that I started getting sick around, I'd say, yeah, 4 to 5 weeks. I think I found out when I was about 4 weeks. So within a week I was already feeling sick. I was already extremely nauseous. I was throwing up all the time. And I kind of put it down to morning sickness, as most women do. I think I had my first stay in hospital, my first admission, I think I was around 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah, so they took me in. I hadn't eaten in like 2 or 3 days. I couldn't eat or stomach anything. I was throwing up my own saliva. It was, yeah, it gets brutal. So I got someone to take me to the hospital, got in there, you know, they put me, like, pumped me full of fluids, gave me hydrolyte, you know, all the fun stuff, lots of juice. And then I was released and I was told that I was showing signs of something called hyperemesis-gravidarum. So I was like, okay, cool. 15, you don't really think about these things. So yeah, I didn't really do any research. I didn't understand the severity of it. So yeah, fast forward to probably about 18 weeks, I was just gradually losing weight. So probably up until about 24 weeks, I physically couldn't even get up. I had a bucket next to me. I was on the lounge all day. That was it. Like, I was in and out of consciousness for months. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I couldn't sleep, it's insane. And I was on some medications to stop the nausea and to help the nausea and the vomiting. And I was throwing the medication back up. So it was, yeah, it's an interesting ride, and it's incredibly brutal, and yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, it was very isolating. I didn't realize how depressed I was during my pregnancy, which then, you know, started the domino effect of the postnatal. I also had other pregnancy complications. I had placenta previa, which did actually move, but it did still cause some issues. And I also had PUPS rash, which is, if you're not sure what it is, it's basically just a pregnancy rash. They're not quite sure exactly what causes it, but it's all basically put down to the pregnancy hormone. The same thing with hyperemesis, or HG. A lot of, no one really knows why it happens. You have a higher chance, you know, if you've got a mother or a sister with your mum or your sister has it, you've got a higher chance of having it in consecutive pregnancies, all that sort of stuff. I will link some information below for anybody that wants to read up on it or whatnot. About 18 weeks, obviously I was going to my doctor every, probably 2 or 3 times a week. I couldn't tell you. But I'd lost 3 kilos in 6 days. And my doctor looked at me and went, hospital now. So off we went to the hospital. That was my first overnight stay. As far as I can remember, I think I only had one, which is pretty lucky. A lot of women with HG have multiple hospitalizations, overnight stays. You know, I was hospitalized multiple times to have fluids, but overnight was only once, which was like about 24 weeks is where I started to feel a little bit better. Like, I could actually sort of leave the house, even if it was for an hour at a time and I felt like shit, I could still leave the house, which was really nice. So I actually traveled to my my year 10 formal. I was pregnant and I was like a stick. I'll insert some photos, if I can, at bits and pieces at times, where they're relevant. But yeah, I remember turning up at my year 10 formal and all the girls were like, Liv, aren't you pregnant? And I'm like, yeah, the kid's in there somewhere, okay? Don't ask me questions. My chair just moved. Yeah, so that was about 24 weeks. And mind you, I didn't have a bump this entire time either. I was overweight at the start. Like, yeah, I think I'd lost about 16 kilos in that first 18 weeks. Yeah, and I had very little, I felt very little movements. I don't know if that's just because of how my uterus is placed. Yeah. So Sam was due on the 25th of March, 2016. He was not born until the 3rd of April. So I was doing everything in my power to get this child out. I did the castor oil, like the tablespoon of castor oil. Do not recommend, don't do it. It's a bad idea. I was doing everything. I was doing squats. I was walking up a hill. You know, I was going on bumpy rides. I was walking on like 1 foot up a gutter, blowing up balloons. My God, there was nothing I wouldn't do. I was moving all the time. I was washing the dog. I was vacuuming. It was insane. So 9 days of that. And then I was meant to be induced on my 10th night. So my 10th night over. So I was meant to be induced the Monday night. And the Sunday morning, very early in the morning, I think it was like 2 or 3 a.m., I woke up because I felt like a tiny little bit of fluid. Like I don't know, I can't describe it. You just wake up and you know. So I woke up right into my mum's room. I'm like, Mom, my water's broke. Oh my God. And she was like, how much is it? And I was like, it's like a 20-cent piece. She's like, put a towel down and go back to sleep. And I was like, okay. Off I went, back to sleep. Woke up a few hours later, probably 5 or 6. First thing, jump in the shower, try and calm the contractions down. Now my whole labor, my contractions were between 5 minutes and 4.5 minutes apart. It was insane. I didn't have this slow labor thing. Ended up going up the hospital about 2 hours later, got up there. They checked how much I was dilated. I was dilated about 4 centimeters. And that was, I'd say around 9 a.m. or 8, 9 a.m. And then by about 1 o'clock, I had only dilated 2 more centimeters. So you're meant to dilate 1 centimeter per hour in active labor. I hadn't done that, obviously. And because I was overdue, Sam had pooed in the waters. So really attractive. I had the big adult nappy on a very horrible angle, laying down on the bed because his heart rate was going through the roof. I had the CTG heart monitor on to monitor his heart rate. Yeah, it was a nightmare. I couldn't sit. I loved sitting on the birthing ball, but he kept going back up every time I sat on the birthing ball. Yeah, midday, 1 o'clock. I hadn't progressed enough. His heart rate had been around 180 for about an hour. And they had put an IV in me, put some fluids in me, try to calm his heart rate down. Nothing was working. So I did about 9 hours of labor. I didn't have any drugs. I tried the gas, but I was like, it was disgusting. Quickly after that, my OB/GYN came in and goes, right, so we need to have a chat. I said, where do I sign? Get it out of me. So yeah, I had to sign some forms, do bits and pieces. They got me into a wheelchair, into the theatre I went. So I actually had a contraction halfway through the anesthetic going in my spine. and my leg automatically like twitched and nearly kicked me in the face. So that was interesting, that was funny. I had, I think 3 or 4 times the normal dose of morphine. So yeah, they got him out. He was born at 2:55. I don't think I met him until about 5 o'clock, 5:30. I did have an incredibly bad C-section. So he was out fine, all healthy, nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with him. God love him, thank God. And they ended up having to take him and my mother out of the room because I was actually bleeding out. As they've gotten him out, the main blood vessel underneath my uterus, or to my uterus, one of the two, had actually burst. And obviously being so far in there, you've got to like move everything. So apparently they were flipping all my organs out on the table, and yeah, so they found the bleed eventually, luckily. I'd lost 2.5 liters of blood. And yeah, so it was a very long cesarean, very scary, very, yeah, it was, I don't remember any of it, nearly any of it. I ended up having 2 blood transfusions, I think that night or the next day. I also had an iron transfusion, and I think I had around 8 bags of fluid. So that is pretty much most of it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I know everybody's been wanting to see a full proper pregnancy story for quite a while. I know you guys have been wanting to see it for so long. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.